All right, folks, this should be a short little video for you. It's basically a woofer swap out on a Jambox MP3 player that I made last year. I was a little disappointed. It's a two-way with a sub in the back of it with two passives, and the amplifier is 2.1 channel with 50 watts for the main channels and 100 for the sub and 4 ohms. And half that in 8 ohms. But I got this Tang band. It's a Tang band W3 1876S, a little 3-inch, what they call subwoofer for the bass frequencies, and mounted it in back. Noticed it started having mechanical noise issues pretty early on. Even at moderate to loud levels there, you started getting some actual mechanical noise from it, from not pushing it too hard. So I had to really set the volume low on the bass frequency and the crossover frequency. I had to really make that carefully to where I put more bass coming out of the front speakers than I really wanted to. Long story short is when this year I actually saw these new Dayton Audio drivers come out, the ND91s, and they had them at 8 ohm. And so I noticed that the size for the cutout was almost identical to the Tang bands. And so I decided I would try a woofer swap out, and I'll let you see how that came out. On the back side of it here, you can see that I just mounted the 3-inch in between 3-inch passives. The volume on the box recommended for the Tang band was 0.04 cubic feet, and I was a lot closer to 0.08 cubic feet, almost twice the size. So I do admit that I didn't make the ideal size for this little 3-inch sub. But I'd had some internal bracing in here. I had a couple of amps and crossover things that added some volume to it. So I did overcompensate on purpose. The Dayton Audio fits in the same size hole. I just had to fill in some screw holes versus 4 screws versus 6, but it actually fit pretty snugly right in the same opening. And it calls for a 0.1 cubic foot, and I'm right there at it, I think, with this setup on this box here. So right around 0.09, and so I'm right close to the ideal volume for this speaker. They call it a full range speaker in their description, but when I mounted it in a temporary baffle, I noticed right away there was some serious distortion problems with mid-range and treble coming from this. And this has like a 5.1 millimeters of excursion. Just the Tang band, I think, has 5 millimeters of excursion. It is described as a sub. But as you started playing more bass heavy music with this at even a moderate level, the music distorted tremendously. So that's when the thought process kicked in that this might be a good little mini sub, and that's exactly what I utilize it as. Putting it in the right size box with a couple of passives, I noticed I got really huge benefits over the Tang band, and highly usable bass from a 3.5-inch driver here. Final takeaways from this little mod is making the correct dimensions of the box recommended, obviously, by the manufacturer there will make a difference. 4 ohm versus 8 ohm, this amp says that it will handle 4 ohm versus 8 ohm, which we all know that that's always dubious. But in this case, the specs actually do say excursion is the same, Xmax is just relatively the same. Wattage is doubled on this one. The Tang band is 15 watts RMS, and the Dayton Audio is 30 watts RMS. Sensitivity is noticeably higher also on the on the Dayton Audio. And the kicker for me was this guy was $20 cheaper. I mean, so $20 cheaper than the Tang band, and it seems to be matching a lot, if not most, of the performance of the Tang band. So the Dayton Audio for me kind of wins out in most categories, and that 30 watts RMS and 60 watt peak power matches with this amp a lot better, and matches my front. So very pleased with it overall. Highly recommend you give it a try as a bass driver, definitely. And it would, the X Max makes it kind of surprising for its size there. So I will close out with a couple of little audio demos of showing some of the X Max for you.